I'm doing an unveiling and an unboxing of a Heisenberg Syphon Coffee Maker. I've wanted one of these for a long time. I've seen there's lots of different brands, but I picked one up from a company in Canada called Grosche. And what I like about these guys is that if you can see the side here, they have a program where if you buy products from their website, they will donate money to an initiative that actually they're running around the world to bring safe, clean drinking water to communities that don't have access. So it's a great initiative. It's a great company to get behind and support. They have a variety of kitchen products, coffee products, really nice stuff, and I'll post a link below so that you can check out their website. So this is the Heisenberg Syphon Coffee Maker. It looks absolutely wicked, so I've wanted to try this out for a long time. And so I get to do that today, and we'll check it out and see how it is. So as you can see, it's quite a unique looking coffee maker. There's a burner below. There's a pot where the coffee is actually captured, and an upper chamber here. So I'm gonna unpack it, put it all together, then I'm gonna fire it up and see what the coffee's like. So it's fairly well packaged. As you can see, the instructions are on the side, the assembly instructions. It looks pretty straightforward, and we'll figure this out as we go along. So lots of paper to pop. All right, let's see what we've got. So we have a coffee measuring scoop. I want to be careful how I bring this. Oh, it looks like it's all pretty much assembled. Okay, so this is what it looks like when you open it up. So I'm going to carefully see if I can extract it from the box. It's glass, so I want to make sure that I'm not breaking anything. Okay, so here's the upper chamber where the coffee, the ground coffee will go. So we'll take this apart. There's an aroma lid, and actually I've seen another video where this does serve a double purpose. So this is the lid that will actually go on top of the chamber when you're making coffee, but afterwards you can then flip it upside down, and it does become a useful stand to put the chamber in afterwards. So we have the aroma lid. Inside the chamber we have what's called the permanent filter, and an instruction book. Let's see what this is. Okay, it's in multitude of different languages. So this is actually in, it looks like Japanese and English, I believe. Yep. So you have instructions in Japanese, apparently because Syphon coffee makers are very popular in Japan. So I'm guessing this was actually made in Japan and retailed by Grosche under the Heisenberg name. So you have instructions in English and Japanese, but I'm going to wing it and see what it turns out like. Okay, so we have the upper chamber, we have the aroma lid, we have the permanent filter so far, and we have the coffee scoop. And then back into the box. Okay, we have the lower chamber here, which is on. It's got a little bit of weight to it. No, it's not too heavy, but it seems fairly well constructed. Let me take this protective paper off here. All right. So here's the lower chamber where the coffee will actually, once it's made, the coffee will be dumped into this. There's a clamp mechanism here. If you do so, releasing the dial, it does loosen up quite a bit, and you can actually pull this out to wash it. And so you can see the clamp. Just pop it back around the little neck here and tighten up the screw, and it holds it. Seems fairly snugly in place, and you want that to be nice, held nicely in place, because when you're pouring coffee you don't want this dropping off. So So that's the lower chamber. And finally, this should be packaged in protective paper again. Let's move this to the side. Our burner. So I somewhat cheated. I looked at the list of ingredients before, list of parts before, so I kind of know what's in here. So this is the reservoir for the fuel, and inside, my fingers are too big, there is a wick inside. So we'll fill the fuel reservoir with the alcohol fluid. It doesn't come with it, so you got to be sure to get some. Then the wick goes inside. So the wick should then go through this little cap on the top. So the wick will go through here and then into the chamber. So let's see if we can get that in. All right, there we go. So through this, actually like a little ceramic stopper here, and it will go inside the reservoir, and that's what we're going to use to heat the water. And this is to actually, when you're finished making your coffee, to snuff out the flame. So I'm just looking at this and got to figure this out somehow. We'll see if this actually comes out. I'm looking at the instructions. Oh, so there we go. This sits like this. So you have your chamber sits flat on your surface. The wick inside the reservoir, and just I guess as a safety mechanism, this will go on top. And then when you're finished, you just snuff out the flame with this. Alrighty, so let's look at what the permanent filter looks like. And this is great, you know, if you are making it this way, you're not using paper throwaway filters. Okay, so what do we have? So it's a piece of kind of like cheesecloth wrapped around a metal frame. Underneath, as you can see there, I'll take some detailed pictures and I'll post those as well. There's a spring and a little chain here, and it looks like a clip. So I'm going to see if we can start assembling this. So this is actually what acts as the filter when we're making coffee. And the way the Heisenberg and Syphon coffee makers work is so you have your flame at the bottom, the water is actually poured into here, and the pressure when the water boils, the water is like a vacuum, is sucked up through this bottom hose here into the upper chamber where your coffee grinds are. And then you have your filter here. When you remove the flame, the action kind of reverses, and the liquid, once the coffee is all cooked and brewed nicely, will then shoot back down into the bottom chamber. So that's the theory. We're going to check it out, see if that actually does work. But first, I'm going to see if we can put this together. So again, we'll start off with the bottom reservoir. We have our glass chamber here, which will fill with the alcohol fluid. We have the wick, which goes through the little ceramic stopper, and then our safety guard on top. So then we have our glass chamber, which will collect our brewed coffee. And then this will go sit in it just like this. But before we put that on, we want to make sure we put our filter in. So we do that by just simply dropping the chain through straight through. And then you'll notice there's a slight, I don't know if you can see it from there, there's a slight little hook on the bottom of this piece here. So as we pull the chain, the little hook will clip onto the bottom, sucking almost that filter almost into the hole to create a nice seal so that the coffee grinds don't end up washing back down into the coffee once it's prepared. All right, I'm just going to release that for now, because I'm going to give this a good wash before we make the coffee. So this will then sit here. Our burner will go underneath like this. Yeah, it fits in very nicely underneath. And our aroma lid will sit right on top. So fairly straightforward to put together. It's not very heavy. I'm guessing £1/4 pound in total weight. The glass it is you know, obviously glass that can withstand the heat. It's not very thick, so I think you want to be very careful. I wouldn't be putting this in a dishwasher, hand wash only. Plastic lid, it would have been nice if it was bamboo, but a plastic lid with a nice wooden handle here, which actually feels fairly well balanced for when you're pouring your coffee. This looks like a mad science experiment. Alrighty, so that's the Grosche Heisenberg Syphon Coffee Maker. I'm just going to get everything ready. I'm going to wash everything out, and I'm going to fire it up and fill the reservoir with the alcohol fluid and do a quick test brew, see how it is. Alright, so everything's been washed out and cleaned, and I filled the reservoir with some fluid. I just picked up a bottle of Starfrit liquid fondue fuel. I think I paid about $3 for this, and really didn't take much to fill up the reservoir. So I've got about I'd say 16 ounces of water in here, enough to make 2 nice cups of coffee. I'm using a Brazilian Cerrado. I roasted it myself to a fairly dark roast. I'll be doing another video later on coffee roasting, how I roast coffee. And I just simply dumped, I used about of the scoop that came with the Heisenberg, I used about almost 2 scoops. I like my coffee fairly strong, so I used about 2 good scoops of the Brazilian Cerrado. And as you can see, I simply pulled the chain down and used the little clip at the bottom of the mouth of this tube here, which pulls the filter down very nicely, and it makes it does. You can feel it. There's a nice tension there, so it creates a very nice seal. So we just drop this straight down into the bottom chamber. We'll put our aroma lid on top, and let's just spark up the burner. And slide it straight under the bottom reservoir. And that's it. So the Heisenberg is going to do its thing. I'm not sure, we'll see how long it takes to actually boil this, to get this water boiling and pushed up to the upper chamber. And we'll see how long it takes before we can enjoy a nice cup of coffee. I'm impatient, which is why I often use the Keurig. But this looks like this is a whole lot cooler than using a Keurig. Definitely a conversation piece if you get this going after a nice dinner with some friends. Reminds me of Breaking Bad. Isn't that the guy's name on Breaking Bad? Heisenberg? Something like that? Anyway, it looks like something that comes out of a lab of some kind. But yeah, it looks pretty impressive. Again, it is beautiful. It looks nice sitting on a counter. But the proof's in the pudding or the tasting, so we'll see how long it takes and what the coffee tastes like. Okay, so I've had it going for a few minutes. I kind of made a bit of a mistake, which is why it's always good to read the instructions, but who reads instructions? I actually started off by putting cold water in the bottom, and it was taking fairly long. I looked at the instructions and it suggested you start with almost boiling water in the bottom chamber. So I put the boiling water in the bottom chamber, refired up the burner, and it's starting to happen fairly quickly. So what you're seeing now is the water in the bottom chamber starting to boil and expand, and it's being pushed up the stem through that one-way, sorry, it's not one-way filter, technically it's two-way filter, into the upper chamber. And I guess the principle behind this is, as long as the heat's being applied and that pressure's there, the liquid will stay in the upper chamber until we remove the source of heat, at which point it will then shoot back down into the lower chamber. So there are instructions, all in Japanese, but it does tell you to start with almost boiling water. And at some point fairly soon, what we want to do, actually now you can see it's starting to bubble and boil at the top. Almost all of the water's gone from the bottom chamber. What it's suggesting is that we give it a bit of a stir. I'm just going to use the scoop here. So carefully removing the aroma lid. Let me see. Yeah, that smells like great coffee. Now I don't want to do it for too long. I've got a thing that I don't really like boiling coffee. So give it just a bit of a stir. And it really looks like it's coming together nicely here. So the water pretty much is all gone from the bottom. There's just a little bit of water still remaining in the stem, but I don't want to keep the heat on for too long. Now we've pretty much got an empty chamber, and we're just suspending the coffee now, the brewed coffee, in the upper chamber. So I'm going to release remove the heat source. I'll cap this. Now technically what should happen as it starts to, the heat disappears, it should start, there we go, we're filling up the bottom chamber again now. So I think if I'd started with almost boiling water, I don't think we're looking at much more than 5 minutes to prepare a coffee this way. But if you're sitting having a nice lengthy meal, you know what, to start off with cooler water and get it going, and it can do its thing during your dinner. It just looks pretty cool. Okay, we're almost empty now, so all of the liquid is back in the bottom chamber. A little bubble there. So I'm just going to remove the upper chamber, give it a bit of a tap, and set it into the upended aroma lid. Here we go. So this is the first test brew of the Grosche Heisenberg Coffee Maker, Syphon Coffee Maker, and it looks pretty amazing. It looks pretty sharp. So again, the test is in the taste. I could have added maybe a little bit more coffee. Smells good. Now I'm going to burn myself. Yeah, that's a pretty decent cup of coffee. I could have added just a little bit more. I used 2 scoops for close to 20 ounces of water, so I think go with just maybe a little bit more, 2.5 scoops maybe, would have given a real nice full-bodied cup. But you know what, this is pretty decent. So if I'd started off with almost boiling water, this really only would have taken maybe 4 minutes to be ready. I started off initially with cool water. It was taking too long, so then I reverted back to I did use boiling water. I was wondering why it was taking almost 20 minutes to heat up, thinking that's way too long for a cup of coffee. I don't know who waits 20 minutes for a cup of coffee, but so start with almost boiling water. And yeah, so very easy. It came very well packaged. Price wise, I believe I bought it some time ago. I believe retail around $100. I'm thinking 110. I haven't looked on Amazon to see any comparables. Yeah, very straightforward, very easy to put together. It didn't really use much of the looking in the reservoir. It didn't really use much of the fondue fluid, so I think you'll get a number of coffees out of this. So enough for this reservoir here. There is a small scale on the side, 1 cup, 2 cups. So you don't have to fill it the whole way. You can just do 1 cup, and should only take a couple of minutes. So anyway, so that was the Grosche Heisenberg Syphon Coffee Maker. I hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned for the next video where I'm going to be showing you how I roast this coffee from green beans. If you like this video, please subscribe and share it with your friends. If any of the coffee lovers out there, share it with them, and let me know what you think.